Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. I am Anjana from Learnohub, the free learning platform where you can study math, science and SST absolutely free at learnohub.com. In today's class, we are going to discuss ICSE Class 9 Physics Chapter 6 Heat and Energy. We will be discussing the topic Greenhouse Effect and Global Warming. Are you ready for the session? Let's begin. Our first topic for today is greenhouse effect. Before understanding greenhouse effect, let us understand about the scientist who discovered it. It was in the year 1896, Seventh-day Arrhenius, the scientist Seventh-day Arrhenius, discovered the greenhouse effect. That is, he studied how the carbon dioxide, you all know what is carbon dioxide? Okay, it is a gas in the atmosphere. This carbon dioxide, how does it influences the climate? The study was made by Seventh-day Arrhenius and this effect came to be known as a greenhouse effect. Now, what is greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect. So, we know that the sun's radiation, that is the solar radiation, contains high energy radiations and low energy radiations of different wavelengths. Okay, it contains X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, visible light, infrared radiation, radio waves and microwaves. Okay. So, these high energy radiations like gamma rays, X-rays, UV rays, what happens is, there is a layer called ozone layer, okay, that protects the earth, okay. Earth's atmosphere is protected by the ozone layer. So, what happens is these radiations cannot enter into the atmosphere. Why? Because ozone layer absorbs these harmful radiations, okay. Next, visible light and infrared radiation. So, infrared radiations is of two types, that is low wavelength and high wavelength. Okay, these low wavelength infrared radiations and the visible radiation, they will enter the earth. Okay, they will enter the earth's atmosphere. Now, what happens to the long wavelength range IR radiations? Radio waves and microwaves, what happens is they get reflected. Okay, at the ionosphere they get reflected, or the polar ice caps, they reflect these radiation. Okay, now we have the visible radiations and the infrared radiations of short wavelength range. Okay, they enter the Earth's atmosphere. Now, what happens is there are clouds, Earth's surface and sea. What happens is when these radiations strikes them, they get reflected. Okay, they get refracted. So, here what is happening? When they strikes, that is, this infrared radiations are of high temperature. Okay, so when this strikes, what happens is the sea absorbs it. Okay, and the temperature of the atmosphere is increasing. Okay, so these radiations, you can see, they will then radiate infrared radiations of longer wavelength. Okay, that is the Earth's surface, they will be radiating infrared radiations of longer wavelength. Now, what happens to this radiation? These radiations will go and strike the clouds. Okay, we know that the clouds doesn't allow the infrared, high energy infrared radiation to enter, but once the radiations are here, they cannot even escape out. Okay, so what is happening? The temperature is increasing. Okay, so this effect we call the greenhouse effect. Okay, so here in the Earth's atmosphere, there are different gases. Okay, even these gases will lead to the increase in temperature. So, what is greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect is the process of warming of the Earth's surface and its lower atmosphere by absorption of infrared radiations of long wavelength emitted out from the surface of Earth by greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, chlorofluorocarbons, etc. So, these gases which keeps the infrared radiations, that is long wavelength infrared radiations inside the Earth's surface. These gases we call the greenhouse gases. Okay, that doesn't allow it to get emitted out. So, we have understood that the greenhouse gases are absorbing the long wavelength infrared radiations. So, what are greenhouse gases? The gases which are absorbers of long wavelength infrared radiations are called greenhouse gases. Examples: carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide, etc. Now, these greenhouse gases are actually necessary for the to maintain an average temperature on the Earth's surface. Okay, so about 15.5 degrees Celsius. 15.5 degrees Celsius is the average temperature on the Earth's surface. So this is a normal temperature. But what happens is, if in the absence of greenhouse gases, if these greenhouse gases were not present, what would happen is the temperature will be minus 18 degrees Celsius. Okay, so life sustenance won't be possible here. Now, what happens if the amount of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, in Earth's atmosphere increases? What would happen? When the amount of greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere increases, the temperature would further increase. Okay, the temperature would further increase, and this is harmful to the lives on Earth's surface. Okay, that is, they will adversely affect all the aquatic or the normal lives on the Earth's atmosphere, including us. Okay, so to maintain this temperature, what is required? Greenhouse gases are very essentials. Okay, but it should be maintained at a proportion. If the proportions goes high, proportion of greenhouse gases goes high, what happens? The temperature would increase and it would affect the lives. Global warming. Next term is global warming. Global warming is a term which is related to greenhouse effect. It is because of greenhouse effect the global warming is happening. Warming means what? Increasing temperature. Global increase in Earth's temperature. So, increase in Earth's temperature is called global warming. So, we have understood that the visible light and the infrared radiations of short wavelength gets absorbed by the Earth's surface, and they are radiating outward long wavelength infrared radiations. Okay, greenhouse gases absorbs these radiations, and this leads to the increase in temperature of the Earth's surface. So, to maintain 15.5 degrees Celsius, this is required. Greenhouse gases are required. So, what happens when the amount of greenhouse gases increases in the atmosphere? We know that the temperature will also be increasing. Yes. So, here what is happening? The temperature is increasing every decade by about 0.74 plus or minus 0.18 degrees Celsius. By this rate, every decade, what is happening? The temperature is increasing. Temperature is increasing means what is increasing there? It is only because of the increase of greenhouse gases. Okay. Now, how does the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere increase? We have said that greenhouse gases are required, but in a proportion. If the proportion increases, what happens? It will lead to the increase in temperature, and this is what global warming is. Okay, so the increase in average effective temperature near the Earth's surface due to an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases in its atmosphere is called global warming. So, what are the reasons for the increase in greenhouse gases? One thing is industrial growth. Okay, industrial growth. What else? Burning of fossil fuels. Burning fossil fuels will lead to the increase in greenhouse gases. Next is deforestation. So, there are many reasons why what leads to the increase in greenhouse gases. So, when greenhouse gases increases, temperature increase will lead to global warming. Okay, understood what is global warming and how greenhouse effect will affect the global warming, increase in temperature? Yes, so we understood what is global warming. Now, what causes global warming? The important cause of global warming is in the increase in the level of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So, this increase in greenhouse gases is due to many human activities. First one is, these human activities which causes the increase in greenhouse gases. The first one is the concentration of carbon dioxide has increased up to 25% due to industrial growth, combustion of fossil fuels, clearing of forests, etc. So, we know that cutting down of trees, deforestation. Okay, deforestation. So, what happens if there are many plants? We know that plants will be taking the carbon dioxide to prepare their food. That is, they are using the carbon dioxide. If the plants are removed, what happens? The carbon dioxide is not used. Okay, it will be sustaining in the atmosphere itself. Then combustion of fossil fuels will be releasing carbon dioxide. Yes. Then industrial growth. That is, for industrialization, fuel is required. In all these cases, the non-renewable sources of energy is used and not the renewable sources. So, when non-renewable sources of energy is used as a byproduct, there will be greenhouse gases. which will be remaining in the atmosphere. This increase in the greenhouse gases, which is increased by 25%. Due to this increase in the level of carbon dioxide, it causes global warming. So this is the first thing. Second, the concentration of methane has doubled. So we know that the activities like that is cultivation, animal husbandry, then natural gas leakage through pipelines. So all these causes increase in the level of methane. Okay, so methane's concentration is increasing. It has doubled. So this is also a cause of global warming. Okay, next, the concentration of CFCs. What are CFCs? Chlorofluorocarbons has increased at the rate of 5% per year. Every year the concentration of CFC is increasing. That is, it is increasing by 5%. So these are the causes of global warming. The level of, that is the concentration of greenhouse gases is increasing in the atmosphere, temperature is increasing, and this is causing global warming. Impacts of global warming on life on Earth. So we can say that due to global warming, the global warming is causing a very big impact on the life on Earth. Okay, so first one, the variable change in climate in different parts of the world has created difficulties and forced people and animals to migrate from one place to another. So we know the different seasons. Okay, winter season, summer season, rainy season, spring season. So there are different seasons. Okay, and these seasons, so for there are 12 months in a year, 3 months each, every season will be there. But we know that rainy season, if you take rainy season, June, July, August, this is a time of rainy seasons mainly. Okay. Then we know that the winter season, when does winter season start? That is from the end of October, somewhat like that, at November, December, January. This is a time of winter season. But nowadays you will be able to see that even during the November month, okay, there will be no winter found. Winter will be like somewhat at the end of December it may start. So this change has happened because of the global warming. Okay, so this is the first point, that is variable change in climate. So there are some plants and animals, also people who can exist, that is some organisms can exist only in that particular climate. So they will have to migrate to a different place for their sustenance. Okay, next, second point, the blooming season of different plants has changed. So we know the autumn season. Okay, we know spring seasons. So in different seasons, about different plants will be having their best time to bloom. Okay, that has also changed because of global warming. They need the certain climatic conditions to bloom. Okay, next, the regional climate, which has an immediate effect on simple organisms and plants, has also changed. That is, due to change in the regional climate because of global warming, the plants and all the simple organisms who are existing in that particular place will also be affected. Next, the world's ecology has completely changed. Next, the death due to heat strokes have increased. So some organisms cannot sustain in particular climate, okay, because of these climatic changes and global warming, and there will be many such deaths. So this is how the life on Earth is affected because of global warming. Understood? Future consequences of future prediction. What will be the future? Because of global warming, what changes will happen? We cannot make an exact prediction. Actual prediction cannot be made. But still we can make some predictions depending on the changes in natural phenomenon that is happening currently. Okay. So first one, dislocation and disappearance of plants and animal species. Second, warming of oceans. Third, melting of glaciers. Fourth, shift in farming regions. Fifth one, increase in new diseases and heat-related deaths. 6, change in regional climate. 7, variable changes in the climate, increase in cost of air conditioning, and the 9th one, change in sea level. So these are the future consequences or the future predictions that we can make. Okay, we'll explain them in detail. Dislocation and disappearance of plants and animal species. So the present increase in the greenhouse gases, if you consider the greenhouse effects increase, if you consider, you will be able to notice that by 2050, about 30% of the plants and animal species will get vanished. Okay, and by 2100, it will become 70%. 70% of the plants and animals will be vanished from the Earth's surface. Okay, so this will happen. This is the future. Okay, also, we know that some organisms, they will be existing in the equatorial region. So they cannot exist in that region because they need cold climate. So they will shift to higher altitudes. For the cold climate, they will shift to cold places and higher altitudes. Similarly, there will be some marine organisms. Okay. So what happens is, due to the increase in the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the ocean will start absorbing carbon dioxide. That is, acidification will happen. Okay, in this acidified water, that is acidified region, the marine organisms cannot exist. So they will also dislocate from there. Okay, this is what dislocation and disappearance of plants and animal species. So this is the first future consequence. Warming of ocean. So we have said that when there is an increase in the greenhouse gases, what is happening? The temperature of the earth's surface is increasing. The atmospheric temperature is increasing. It is leading to global warming. So what happens is the temperature of ocean water also will increase. Yes, the temperature of ocean water will increase. When the temperature of ocean water increases, there will be many species which will be existing in these ocean waters. Yes, what happens to them? They will either die or they will disappear. And in this ocean water, only organisms will be remaining who can sustain this high temperature. Also, organism which needs warm water for their existence will come to this oceans. Okay, so this is the second future consequence of global warming. Now the third one is melting of glaciers. We know that because of global warming, because of the increasing temperature, what will happen? The ice will start melting, ice glaciers will start melting. So what are the consequences? The first one is the frozen tundra in Siberia has started melting. So one thing. Second is where it has affected is the Greenland. Greenland has experienced about 32 glacial earthquakes in 1 year. So how is this earthquakes caused? Because of the ice melting, this earthquakes. So 32 glacial earthquakes has happened because of the melting of ice glaciers. Okay, then now the third one is the Arctic snow cover is expected to be, okay, the Arctic snow cover will almost get vanished. It won't contain any ices. Okay, it will become ice free by the end of the September 2037. This is the third thing. Now the fourth one, the global average sea level has risen at a rate of 3.11 millimeter per year. So why is the sea level rising? Because ice is melting. When ice melts, what happens? The sea level will be rising. So the global average sea level has risen at the rate of 3.1 millimeter per year. Every year it is rising by 3.1 millimeter. Shift in farming regions. So in the near future, what will happen is with the increase of nearly 3 degrees Celsius, it will result in poor yield in farms in low latitude region. So there will be low latitude region, middle region and the high latitude region. So here the yield will be good in the middle region and in the high latitude region. Okay, but what about the case of low latitude regions? There the yield will decrease, which means the farmers there will have to shift to the high latitude region and the middle region. Okay, so this may lead to, so here when the farms yield is decreasing, what will happen? It will increase the rise of malnutrition. So people there will be suffering from malnutrition. So only thing they can do is, what farmers can do is shift from the low latitude region to the middle and high latitude regions. Okay, so this is again a consequence. Next is increasing farming regions and heat related deaths. So here you can see that due to global warming, many new diseases will emerge because bacteria can survive better and they can multiply faster in increased temperature. When you take the case of a mosquito, okay, they can survive better in a humid region, they can survive better in increased temperature region and their multiplication will increase. That is, the number of mosquitoes will increase. Okay, then what happens? The chances of diseases will also increase. Okay, so it will extend the distribution of mosquitoes due to increase in humidity level and their frequent growth in warmer regions. Okay, so this can lead to death. Okay, many new diseases will also be discovered because of this, because of the increase in the number of bacteria and mosquitoes, because of the increase in temperature. In warmer temperature, they can survive better. Okay, any new bacteria or viruses, if you consider, it is better for them to survive and multiply in the warmer regions. Okay, and this can lead to deaths of many humans and other organisms, and also it can cause heat strokes in people. Okay, the death rate because of heat strokes will also be increasing. Sixth one, change in regional climate. That is, the warming of the land is increasing. So increase will be more in the northern region compared to the southern region. Next, variable change in the climate. So we all know that sudden changes in climate will lead to many diseases. For example, when you go from one state to other itself, there will be a sudden change. Like mainly small children will be affected. That is, sudden change in climate, it will take time for them to adjust with that climate. So it can cause like small diseases, even many acute diseases it can be causing. So variable change in the climate is also a consequence. Next, increase in cost of air conditioning. So what happens if the temperature increases? So when the atmospheric temperature increases, if you have to reduce the temperature inside the room, what you need? You need an air conditioner. Okay, so we know that air conditioner can maintain what the temperature that we prefer. But if you want to decrease the temperature, what you need? Electricity is needed. So the more current is needed. Yes, therefore the cost of air conditioning will also be increasing. Next is the change in sea level. So what is happening due to the increase in temperature? Ice melts. Okay, sea ice melts. So at the poles, the melting will be high. Okay, now it will be by about 50 years. What will happen is all the ice at the southern and the south pole and the north pole will get melted, and people who are in that regions, that is the buildings, then homes, etc. What happens is because of this floods, then tropical storms and hurricanes, people will be suffering. Okay, that is, it can lead to death of many peoples and aquatic life at that region. Okay, so these are the future consequences of global warming. Now, what are the ways to minimize the impact of global warming? So, to minimize the effect of global warming, what can be done? There are three measures that can be taken. First is the technological measures, second is economic measures, and third one is policy measures. So, we will explain them in detail. First one is technological measures. So, due to the industrialization, economic growth and the increase in population, what is happening? Greenhouse gases is increasing in the atmosphere. It is leading to global warming. All this we know. Now, how to control this using the technological measures? Okay, using technology, how can you control this? So, first one is the use of renewable sources of energy for generation of electricity instead of electricity from fossil fuel based power plants. So, we have discussed about the renewable sources of energy and non-renewable sources of energy. Okay, what are the renewable sources of energy? Example, solar energy. Next, wind energy, hydro energy, nuclear energy. So when you take the case of non-renewable sources, there the first one is the fossil fuels. Okay, you have coal, you have petroleum, in which petrol, diesel, kerosene, LPG, etc. are included. Then you will be having the natural gas. All these comes under the non-renewable sources of energy. So, when you have to generate electricity, it is better to depend on the renewable sources. Okay, don't go for the fossil fuel based, that is fossil fuel power plants should not be put into use to generate electricity. Instead, it is better to go for the renewable sources because they won't get exhausted. So, we have discussed the advantages of using renewable sources of energy. Yes, so they won't get exhausted, they won't cause much pollution. So, they are very user friendly. Okay, so better it is to use renewable sources of energy for generating electricity. Don't depend on the fossil fuel based power plants. Okay, second one, use of battery operated vehicles such as electric cars, electric bikes and electric scooters. So we know that in vehicles like bus, cars, scooters, lorries, etc. what is used? There is an internal combustion engine. You are using fuels like petrol and diesel. So what does they cause? They will be causing pollution. Yes, because due to the burning of these fuels, what is happening? There is gas released in the atmosphere which contains sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, etc. which leads to the global warming because these are greenhouse gases. It increases the temperature. Yes, in order to prevent this, what can be done? We can switch to the better alternative, which is battery operated vehicles. So in this battery operated vehicles, the batteries, okay, in batteries we know that the chemical energy is getting stored. So here, to generate electricity in the battery, what can be used? We can use the renewable sources. Don't go for the non-renewable sources. Go for the renewable sources like solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy. These energies should be used to produce, that is to get energy stored in the batteries, and the vehicles can be run with this battery. Okay, so these are called the battery operated vehicles. Okay, also the size of the vehicles can be reduced. By doing that also we can prevent the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that is leading to global warming. Next technological measure is use of biochar stove for cooking. So what is biochar stove? We know that in the developing countries, mainly for cooking purposes, biomass is used. Biomass is burnt. So when biomass is burned, we know that there will be release of greenhouse gases. So here in the presence of air, when we burn biomass, what is released? It will release greenhouse gases. That is, there is an increase in greenhouse gases. Okay. Now when greenhouse gases increases, what happens? Temperature increases, leading to global warming. Okay, what should be done is a technology should be developed in such a way that the biomass is burnt in the absence of air. So a setup, such a setup is called the biochar stove. So in this biochar stove, the biomass is burnt in the absence of air. Okay, so here smokeless combustible gases are released, like hydrogen gas, methane gas are released. Okay. With this, charcoal is also released. This charcoal, it can be buried under soil. So this is a residue released. Okay. So here this gases wouldn't cause much increase in the temperature and it doesn't lead to global warming. So what should be done? In a biochar stove, technology should be developed in a biochar stove where there is biomass burned in the absence of air and the gases released are smokeless and combustible gases. Clear? So this is the use of biochar stove for cooking purposes. It can decrease the amount of, that is the greenhouse gases increase can be prevented. Next, economic measures. So we know that because of industrial growth and the population increase, it is all leading to deforestation. What is deforestation? Deforestation is the cutting down of trees, that is removing of forest. Okay, to prevent this, what should be done? We can take economic measures. The first measure is reforestation and sustainable use of land. If deforestation is the cutting down of trees, then what is reforestation? Planting many more trees. We have heard about the Environment Day, which is celebrated on June 5th. What is happening? In schools, every child is asked to plant a tree. Yes. So, if this is done for future, the number of trees will be increasing, the number of plants will be increasing. This can decrease the greenhouse effect. That is, this can reduce the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The temperature can be, that is climatic temperature can be maintained. Okay, and the heating up can be prevented. This can prevent global warming. So for future, this is actually a future plan. For future, what can be done by us? We can at least plant one tree a year. Okay, so reforestation and sustainable use of land is the first one. So to check this, what can be done? Satellite imaging can be done. And compensation, before giving the international compensations, what can be done? A satellite viewing can be done. If this is being done, what is the change? Okay, earlier how it was and now how it is, and future you can keep checking what difference is coming. Now the second economic measure is industries to pay carbon tax. What is tax? Tax is the amount that is paid to the government. So people with salaries, greater salaries will be paying tax accordingly. So industries to pay carbon tax. Carbon tax is a tax that is paid for the use of carbon, that is the release of carbon. So you know that industries will be releasing more and more carbon dioxide. Yes. So for the amount of carbon dioxide released by the industry is calculated, and depending on that, they have to pay taxes. So to prevent the paying of taxes, what they will be doing? They will reduce the amount of carbon dioxide that is being emitted. Okay. That is, they will make their offices more efficient. That is, they will be very conscious and they will control the amount of carbon dioxide. They will use devices which will control the effect of carbon dioxide. That is, control the release of carbon dioxide. So this tax is called carbon tax. Okay. Next, policy measures. Educating children to live in a sustainable lifestyle. So we know that in today's world, everyone are behind the materialistic things. Okay, they want everything. For example, in a house, they need more and more furnitures. To get more and more furnitures, what should be done? Many trees should be cut down. Okay. So to prevent this, what can be done? The small children should be educated. That is, that is not something like earth, which it should not be that the earth will provide us everything to satisfy our greed. It is just for our need what earth is providing. Okay, this one we have to teach every children. Next, the second is controlling population through family planning. welfare reforms and empowerment of women. So this is another thing that, another policy measure that can be taken. So controlling population, that is we have to make welfare programs, welfare reforms that will give an idea about family planning. So smaller family means we can reduce the needs. Okay. Then women empowerment. More and more women should be educated. If women are educated, they will be able to control the family. Okay, they will have a proper plan. They will be very conscious about their future plans. They will be very conscious about their career. So this can lead to control the number of children in the family. Okay, that is the world population can be controlled in this way. So these are the policy measures that should be taken. That's all for today. In today's class, we have discussed about global warming and greenhouse effect. We have discussed about their future consequence. Hope you all enjoyed the session. I'll be back in the next session. Until then, stay tuned to Learnohub. Learnohub free hai, par best hai. Thank you.